can answer the question, Judge. You can't handle the truth.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Welcome to After Hours AM, The Criminal Code, with your hosts, Joel Sturgis, Eric Olson, and Dr. Clarissa Cole.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of After Hours AM, The Criminal Code. Very first one of 2019, so Happy New Year to everybody listening, and I want to say Happy New Year to both Eric Olson and Dr. Clarissa Cole. Hopefully we are going to have another great year of broadcast ahead of us, guys.
Oh, I am so ready for it. How about you, Clarissa?
Oh, definitely. I am ready for 2019.
It'll be great. It'll be a better year than 2018. It has to be.
Which was actually a better year than 2017.
It was.
Which really sucked.
It's only getting better as we go, right?
I think so.
It has to.
I choose to see it that way.
So how was your guys' Christmas and New Year? Because we were off the air last week, taking time off to hang out with the family, which is always so much fun. Not really, but I'm going to say it's fun. And that kind of stuff was a good time.
Oh, yes. Complex, as you were just saying. We had a bunch of family. We had my 3 siblings. We had my sister's whole family in as well. We met my niece, so her daughter's boyfriend, who is apparently soon to be more than that. So he was a very nice guy. All that was cool. They were only around for about 3 days, but it was complicated and busy, and there was some weirdness with my mother. What else is new? But, just some odd behavior. So we were dealing with that. But on Christmas Day, it was very exciting. We went down to my oldest daughter's house, had a large and really, really fun, exciting gathering, bringing in her husband's family, and of course all of us were down there. It was very nice, and then we got little kids, which just makes it wonderful. We have Joe, my son-in-law's young niece and nephew, so they were there, and we had the 2 little baby grandchildren, so that was exciting. So it was neat. It was fun. We had some technical issues, and these words should never come out of anyone's mouth. We had some technical issues performing at church Christmas Eve.
Oh no!
Yes, the good friend, have known him probably 50 years, well, at least 45. Good friend, now very, very deep into MS.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Sadly. Yes, and he runs the audio board, and maybe he shouldn't anymore.
Yeah, what a
That's
horrible
all
disease.
I'm going to say about that one.
It's
So we had
disease.
some complications, and that just,
Yeah.
and that takes the steam out of it.
It does.
The mic didn't work. Oh, my Lord. Anyway, it overall was exciting and fun, and we were where we were supposed to be on Christmas Eve.
That's true. And really quickly, how did your benefit go for the Aurora School of Music?
God, that's already, it just seems like a lifetime ago. No, it's only, it's a week and a half, right?
Yeah.
It was great. Really good. Really fun. Excellent turnout. We really had no idea. It's a Saturday before Christmas. They've never had an event like that. They haven't had a party kind of atmosphere at the School of Music. It's much more formal. And they have this beautiful, beautiful, acoustically amazing theater, but it's always for formal events and for recitals.
Sure.
So no one knew what to expect. But we're estimating maybe 200 people came.
Oh, wow.
And
That's doing really well.
It was really fun. The atmosphere was amazing. The kids from the school who performed were outstanding. Our band played. We had a lot of fun. Very nice reception. Everyone thought it was a success. So thank you so much for asking. It was really great.
Yeah.
And at any time, like Joel, you've done such a fine job of letting people know. You can donate to the scholarship fund. It's in my father's name, Ray Olson, Scholarship Fund at the Aurora School of Music, and that is the URL, auroraschoolofmusic.com, and you can donate 5, 10, whatever you want. It's a fund for outstanding students at the school who want to go on and take even more lessons, but it's expensive.
It is. So check that out, auroraschoolofmusic.com. A lot of you guys also tuned in to watch it on that website as well while they put it over the internet, while they casted it over the net. So thanks again for everyone that did tune in, and thank you for all the donations and getting the word out there about this worthy cause. Clarissa, how the heck are you, and how was your Christmas?
Nothing to report really, except that I am getting over the flu, so I'm ecstatic.
It sounds like you're very happy. Yes, just giddy.
You just you take it for granted. I think when you just feel sort of normal.
Sure, I hear you. What's normal?
Yeah, just not feeling like super energetic or awesome, just normal. Yes. And then I got the flu, and I'm like, I'm gonna die.
You're gonna die. This is the end.
Oh God, it was horrible, but I'm finally over it. So really, on New Year's, Henry and I just kind of, I was still on the downward trend at that point.
Yeah.
And then I started to come up right after. So today I'm doing quite a bit better, but now Henry's in the throes of the bad.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's in the other room burning up.
Oh, poor man.
Sorry to laugh, but I'm like.
You're laughing. I hear that evil laugh.
There.
Oh, okay, now is he like every other guy though? He gets the flu, or at least this is what women claim to me, that we get the flu and we become big children.
Normally I would totally go with you on that, but I was a baby this time. I was horrible. I was really bad. I'm embarrassed about myself.
Go ahead.
I usually don't get like that.
I never become a big baby when I'm sick.
You don't?
As I'm getting the gaze from the studio audience telling me, waving their finger.
Raised eyebrows.
Yes, exactly. What did you just say? You don't become... What? She's threatening to come over here and tell the truth. No, stay in your seat. They don't need a testimonial about what it's like. My Christmas was great. Enjoyed it with the little ones. That's always so much fun. Santa Claus came. New Year's Eve rolled around. Some of us wanted to stay to midnight, but they turned in at 10 o'clock. I'm not going to name names, but it was a good time nevertheless. I slept right through New Year's, so that's all right. I'm happy with that, because sleep, as you get older, though, and I don't want to sound too old, I'm only 44, but as you get older, it becomes less and less important to stay up to midnight on New Year's Eve. That's just me anyway.
You want me to tell you what time I went to sleep?
What time?
New Year's Eve? 4:30.
4:30 in the morning?
4:30 in the morning.
Wow, you are wow.
Party
I don't even know what to say to that. Exactly.
Well, I gotta tell you, here's the pattern, and I'm getting a little too old. Maybe never again. Maybe that was the last time.
It might have been the last hurrah.
But we went out. Dawn and I went out, actually quite far away. I mean, relatively, almost an hour away, to a bar to see a band of her coworker. Right next to her, he's in a band, and he's come to see us twice. So it was our turn. They were playing on New Year's Eve. It was really a pretty fun place. It's kind of like the place we play a lot in Chagrin Falls called the Greenville. Kind of a dive bar, but not
Love
only
dive bars. Love them.
I do too. But not only a dive bar. Real nice stage, and they had a interesting variety of drinks. And anyway, it was a nice place. We had a lot of fun. And met some of Dawn's friends, actually one of her really good friends from high school. I met his husband for the first time. So we had lots of fun. Now, naturally, I drank too much. Now, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but I crossed a threshold. And anytime I cross that threshold, suddenly I really have to hear. It's not like I'm a different person, but it's like I've entered another dimension. And I have to hear very specific songs. I never know in advance what they are going to be, but I have to hear very specific songs very loudly for a very extended period of time. So, of course, I didn't drive back home. No, designated driver. My wife drove. She drank far less than I did, as she usually does, though not always. But this time, yes, she was the one to drive. We got home. I don't know what time we got here, maybe 1:30, something like that. I think we left about 12:30, and at a reasonable time. And then I went in the bathroom where I actually have a pretty high-end sound system because I'm crazy. Because I spend more time in the bathroom really than anywhere else, and so I got a 7-speaker surround sound system
in the
bathroom, and I turned it up so loud. When I turned it on the next day and heard how loud it had been, I almost lost my mind. How did Dawn sleep through that? I will never know.
Yeah, wow.
That's what I did. From like 3 hours, from like 1:30 to 4:30 in the morning, in the bathroom, listening really loud, dancing around, singing along, and having a festive time. So there you go.
Well, that not often can you say that you partied in the bathroom.
Till 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning.
Alone.
By yourself. Wow.
Like I said, that may have been one of the last times something
only,
like that.
Only you and Billy Idol. Dancing with myself.
Yeah, and he's even older than I am, so there.
Oh, boy, I'm glad that everybody had a fun time on New Year's Eve and a great Christmas, and I'm hoping all of the listeners did the same. And any resolutions, though? I've got to ask, anyone got any resolutions?
Not specific.
Not really.
I want to keep kind of heading in the same direction. Yeah, I'm trying to grow up a little. I'm a little old to be immature. So I want to kind of keep heading that same direction, become more mature, become more fully an adult, stop being an idiot. It's okay to be an idiot like New Year's Eve every now and then, but I got to boil that down.
Don't grow up, man. Don't grow up. Don't become one of them.
I'm a kid. I don't want to.
Yeah,
but
don't do that.
In some ways, I must.
Well, yeah, I hear you there. Anyhow, moving along, I suppose we should give the people what they came here for, and that's their weekly dose of true crime. Dr. Cole, let me back up for 1 second. We're going to be having a pretty cool guest on tonight, and if all the stars align, because I know our schedules have been just odd and crazy, and we're hoping to get him on tonight, and that, of course, will be filmmaker John Borowski, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Eric, and he'll be joining us, and he's done some great movies like the H.H. Holmes documentary, the Carl Panzram documentary, all over the place. Very he's really won pretty much every award out there, and he specializes mainly in true crime genre. So you're going to hang around, and then he's an author. What doesn't this guy do? So hopefully by the top of the hour, we'll hook up with him. Okay, that being said, Dr. Cole, take us into true crime land.
All right. Well, before I get into just absolute crime mayhem, I have to, speaking of movies, I had to get to this one story because it is so weird. Did you guys see the movie Bird Box?
I did sit through that thing.
Yes.
I did too. Okay, so in case for like the 1% of you out there that have not seen it, it stars Sandra Bullock. It's a Netflix film, straight to Netflix, pretty good. But it basically revolves around the fact that there is some unseen force. It's like a horror film.
Yeah. Some
unseen force that if you look at it, it has the ability to do things to you. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's a good film, but people are doing some weird things though. With
so basically, Sandra Bullock has to make it to this bunker or something with her kids, and they have to be blindfolded, right? Because they can't look at this thing. So apparently, people are doing something called the hashtag Bird Box Challenge, which is essentially wandering around in blindfolds while someone films it.
What we used to call that blind man's bluff when I was a kid. Oh, okay.
Yeah, or like Marco Polo in a pool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, first of all, I'm not sure how blind people would feel about that. Second, why?
Stupidity and boredom. That's really about it.
Already.
What I would do is I would blindfold them and then direct them towards the nearest cliff.
Right, or like traffic. Yeah, I want to see you get across a busy street. Then I'll be impressed, right?
Yeah, let's see. Frogger did it, so can you. Come on.
Have you ever experienced the ambience of the Grand Canyon without looking.
Just listen to the breeze.
Just listen.
Just keep walking forward. You'll be just fine.
Listen for a huge hole.
So I'm just embarrassed to sort of be part of the American culture where a bunch of people are posting videos where they're walking around blindfolded.
They're just waiting to be assaulted is what they are, blindfolded. Come on. You run into the right serial killer and he'll do that for you.
So yeah, don't do that, people. Don't do every challenge you see. It's ridiculous. But anyway, true crime. This headline is amazing. Just amazing. Back alley Bronx butt doctor arrested.
Love those alliterative headlines.
He's the back alley Bronx butt doctor.
Back alley Bronx butt doctor. I'm like, okay, I have to see this. And the odd part is, I actually knew who they were talking about because she's been arrested before.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah,
Wow.
This is somebody that's been in the news before. So, Waleska Castillo, she's 44 years old.
Yes.
She has finally been arrested for manslaughter. It finally killed somebody.
I know who you mean.
Oh,
Her practice of butt loving finally turned deadly.
It did. She'd been basically she'd been getting huge like bags of silicone.
Okay.
From the Dominican Republic and injecting them. Now, and she's not the first one. I mean, just to put that out there, she's not the first one to do this, right? Because Priscilla Presley long ago had somebody that came to the stars' homes and said that they were injecting like fillers into their faces. But see, the stuff that they inject for fillers like Restylane or something like that, it's a fluid that eventually breaks up. Now, silicone won't.
See, I thought this was back alley proctology. It just turns out that's back alley. Colonoscopies in the back alley. I don't have the money to pay.
Butt plumping.
Yes, exactly.
As if there's anyone in America who needs a bigger butt.
Right?
I know.
I mean, what? That is the... Oh, my God. That just... All the poor people out there, especially... And by poor, I mean, not in pecuniary terms... who wish they, were smaller in that area, and you have this handful of people who are, I don't know who. Is it Kim Kardashian?
Yes, she's got the.
I guess it was Kim, and then Nicki Minaj. Come on, you just don't need that much butt.
Well, you know who I blame? I blame Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Hey, I know, right? That's what started. No, but like people like Kim Kardashian, who's, I haven't had implants, and I'm like, girl, come on, you know what I mean? Stop lying. It's killing me. Everything that comes out of your face is a lie, or it's as bad as Donald Trump.
Yeah, if you have a butt that has its own zip code, you might want to.
In a tiny little waist, give me a break. So anyway, this woman was charging $1,500 a pop.
Ouch.
Yeah.
A cheek or a pop?
I think for a full procedure.
Oh, okay.
But the problem with injecting silicone or something that basically doesn't dissolve, actually, this is a problem for for those of you who don't know, for trained physicians that inject, say, like lip filler or something. They have to be very careful not to hit a vein.
Oh, I bet.
And there was a girl recently where she had it done by a physician, and he accidentally did hit one of her capillaries. So it got injected into the blood vessel and blocked blood vessel, and her lip swelled up to probably 15 times its size. And she had to go into the ER.
Damn.
Surgery. Yeah. And so that's what can happen even with a trained professional. But hey, Castillo was like, I got me some crazy glue and some silicone from the Dominican Republic.
It puts a whole new spin on putting your ass in the line here.
Step into my alley, please.
Yeah.
She
sanitary condition.
She literally did put crazy glue on their injection sites.
Hop up on that trash can.
Wow, that's insanity.
Put in the dumpster and roll over.
So apparently the person that she injected, who was 49 years old, did, I'm guessing that the silicone, they didn't release an autopsy, but my guess is that the silicone migrated someplace really bad and she passed away.
Well, that is truly sad. And but also really, not only is this bad for her, I mean, she shouldn't be doing this, buyer beware. Okay, if they are in an alley, don't go and get your ass plumped in an alley. Okay, go to a doctor. That come on, that's just stupidity. I'm gonna go to the lady in the alley. She's super cheap. Just don't be stupid.
No back alley butt surgery.
Don't do it. I mean,
no gas station sushi.
No.
How many times
Yes.
Can you imagine that obituary? She was spied until she went to the alley and had her butt done.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's the butt of every joke.
Right? I know. I mean, it's horrible. It's like horrible to laugh about it, but you're right. I mean, buyer beware.
Don't be stupid. These people are stupid, Clarissa. I mean, if you're dumb enough, and this is going to sound horrible, because it kind of is, so brace yourselves. If you're dumb enough to go in that alley, are we really missing anything? Is humanity truly missing something? Come on. If you don't emerge from that alley.
Well, yeah, I think
you had a family.
And to pay $1,500 anyway for something that is so superficial. Do you know what I mean? I can see if somebody is maybe disformed from birth, like they have some terrible birthmark or deformity that they want to fix. I would never, or breast cancer and they want to get their breast reconstructed. That's fine. But this,
I just have a hard time feeling sorry in some ways. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound completely cold or callous, but I have a hard time feeling sorry for the victim in some ways.
it is crazy.
I am perfectly proud of my skinny butt.
There's nothing wrong with it. Be the person God made you to be.
Yeah, and if you're going to change,
skinny white boy.
And they always say, like, psychologically too, like if you're going to get something changed, get one thing changed and then wait. Wait for a year, 2 years before doing anything else.
Get a tattoo.
Yeah, come on. All the rest of us get tattoos. Figure it out. I love tattoos. All right. So, speaking of strange stories, there are 3 men that were finally charged. This is such a strange story. In an attack at a phony gender reveal party that left 1 dead and 8 wounded.
How do you reveal a gender, number one?
And how do you do it in a phony manner?
How do you do it in a phony manner?
I know. That's what kind of caught my attention. So
I'm pulling the penis over your eyes.
Yeah, the meat's either in the shop or it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's a Harvey Weinstein story. No, so this is, this occurred in 2017, this party, but they weren't charged until 5 days ago for it. So apparently, Rashawn Bishop, James Eccles, and Michael Sannon, they were indicted for murder, aggravated robbery, and cruelty to animals. They basically came into this party, this gender reveal. So the gender reveal party is usually when someone is pregnant and they're like, I got an ultrasound and we know the gender, and all the sorts of stop making Instagram stories. I hate it so much. It's because I'm Gen X and I hate everything, but honestly, I hate it so much. We don't care. But so this woman named Autumn Garrett was going to, or not, it wasn't Autumn Garrett. She was there, but Cheyenne Willis, 21-year-old, was going to reveal the gender of her baby. And this is where these 3 guys showed up and started shooting and robbed the house.
What a great time to shoot somebody.
I know, right? Like, look, they're all gathered here. So I have no idea why they chose that place. But what comes out about this is that Cheyenne Willis told the media after the shooting, because now the media is following up with her, right? That because she got shot in the leg, that she had a miscarriage. It turns out that she was never pregnant in the first place.
What?
Yep. She finally admitted that, no, she was never pregnant.
Oh my God!
Was she the one having the party?
Yes, she was. It was for her.
But what? Okay, you know, here, there's a whole lot wrong with the story.
Aside
from the shooting, and we'll tackle that here in a second.
Give birth to a pillow?
Exactly. What do you do 9 months later and there's no baby? I mean, how do you explain that one away?
JK, just kidding.
Well, and typically people don't have gender reveal parties really early into a pregnancy because the first 3 months it's very kind of, hit or miss anyway. Yeah. You don't want to do that. Even if you know the gender, you don't want to do it that early. But she couldn't have been showing because there was no baby.
Well, no, didn't no one suspect the fact that there's no baby? How come you're not pregnant?
I just found out I'm pregnant and I'm going to have a gender reveal party. Wait, what?
I was found out 4 days ago I'm pregnant. I also know the sex of the baby. What?
So who was killed, by the way? I thought we were going to say the baby was killed, and that's why they were charged with murder. But there's no baby.
No, a girl that was attending the party. So Cheyenne Willis, the one having the party, was shot in the leg, but she was fine. Her name is Autumn Garrett. She was attending the party, and she died.
Oh, that's horrible.
And three children and a dog were also injured by gunfire.
Oh, my God. Not only was the poor lady killed, but she was duped into going to a bad party. I mean, that just...
Party gone out of bounds, as the B-52s would say.
It was just all around bad time. Reminds me of a movie I just saw the other night called Bad Times at the El Royale. So, yeah.
Wow.
I want to see that. Don't spoil it for me. I want to see that movie.
It's actually damn good.
So, yeah, this phony gender reveal part. I'm like, there's so much. You're right. There's so much wrong with that story. And here is a story that I honestly don't have a lot of information on. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. But I had to share it because the title is Man Bites Large Chunk of Person's Ear Off After Hot Tub Argument About Conspiracy Theories.
Who hasn't had that heated argument in the hot tub? You know.
And by the way, this brings up a very important point. How on earth could you be chilling in the hot tub?
Yeah, and it was two guys in the hot tub
Think
hanging
about
around.
it.
Yeah, that's a little strange. And whoever gets mad while they're in a hot tub? I've never met anyone angry in a hot tub.
That's what I mean. Like, if you're hanging out in the hot tub, maybe getting a drink, whatever, and you're talking conspiracy theories, how do you get that mad? Just calm down.
Yeah, you just start getting all worked up, then you go,
wow.
I'm gonna put my head underwater.
Well, the victim, let's see, the man allegedly got into an extremely heated argument that led to the victim locking, what's that last name? Boyack? Out of the house. Boyack began hitting the front of the house with patio furniture until the man came out and told him to stop. The arrest affidavit states Boyack then allegedly attacked the man, held him to the ground, and bit off a large chunk of his ear, a la Mike Tyson, before fleeing the scene in his truck. So you can bite an ear and then you run away? Come on. No. Wow, I cannot believe I'm hearing this story.
And the mugshot, just to fill people in, it kind of looks like a sad Edward Norton with the mullet.
Kind of does. He kind of looks like a redneck Edward Norton.
Yeah. That's what I immediately when I saw him, I was like, oh, yeah.
He with questionable hairstyle and, of course, the shirt. So he looks angry. Oh, he looks sad.
There is one mitigating circumstance. At least no one was killed getting their butt plumped.
This is true.
Or attending a childless gender reveal party.
Yes, yeah.
It's true. It's true. But I guess when the conversation turned to large corporations and conspiracy theories, that was it.
That was the line right there that was drawn in the sand. That was it. The biting happened after that.
I had to share it because it's too odd.
That's just strange. That is just strange.
You'll never hear again.
Bet you didn't hear that coming.
Oh, good God. And there is a story about 4 Florida men. So Florida men times 4.
Yes.
That totally started the new year the way that all of us should have.
Oh, yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yep.
They stole a truckload, a $500,000 worth of Patron tequila.
Wow, how expensive. Wow. Patron is the expensive stuff, but $500,000.
It's not super expensive, though.
No.
I mean, yes.
It would take a lot of it to raise to $500,000.
Well, apparently it was about a truck full. So
wow, man, these guys.
That's a lot of tequila.
That is a lot of tequila right there. That's the good stuff. I mean, at least they have good taste, Patron and all. But
I know.
And their ages, though, that's what I find funny, is they're way old enough to know better.
They're older, 35, 66, 46, and 37. So, definitely.
Yeah.
A multi-generational heist.
It was.
What are they doing with it? it's not like, I mean, liquor's pretty tracked, right? I mean, every bottle has a identifying number and all that kind of stuff for tax purposes and governmental stuff and all that. What were they going to do with it?
True. What were they going to do with it? But with the last name of Escobar,
He almost got away too.
He did.
Escobar. Yeah, for a minute they caught up with him, but yeah, I don't know, because I agree with you, Eric. I don't think that they could have resold it necessarily because of the tags on some of the expensive liquor when you ring it up.
Right.
I wouldn't think that they would be able to sell it, but hey, maybe it was for personal use.
Well, either that or they're going to take it down to Mexico and sell it there, and the Mexicans would say that's junk. That tequila.
Right. They'd be like, what is this?
Yeah,
They were going to end up in their bathrooms dancing till 4:30.
Oh, yeah, in a tub of Patron.
Their surround sound? Yeah.
The hot tub was be filled with Patron.
7.1.
Well, they tried to start the new year off in grand fashion. They almost succeeded.
They did get stuck, now didn't they?
They were going to fill up a hot tub.
They were. They were going to bathe in the lavish tequila bubbles of Patron.
Wow. Yeah, and like I wanted to share a story that I think I can only share this time of year because it is actually like the Patron story, is similar. This one happened in Chester County, Pennsylvania, and I am going to make light of the story. That's what we do here. But honest to God, that is what we do here. But this was one of those that it sounds like he was a family annihilator.
Oh no!
That he was going to be, right? So family members called police to the home of 34-year-old Nathaniel Lewis, and he's a member of the Pennsylvania National Guard. They said Lewis was behaving erratically due to separation from his wife.
Oh, no.
So, and that was the trigger for him. When the police arrived, they found out that he had a gun, so the SWAT team was called to defuse the situation. So hours-long standoff. And Lewis did fire at police from a second-story bedroom as well. He said that, neighbors said they were putting their kids to bed around 9:00. They thought they heard fireworks, but it was actually gunshots. So after a 9-hour standoff.
Ooh, oh, that's a long time.
Lewis basically said that if the negotiator sang him White Christmas, he would come out.
Plus he had to pee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the negotiator sang 4 verses of White Christmas, and he came out, and no one died. Nobody got hurt.
Wow, I'm surprised they didn't, hit him with a sniper when he was shooting his gun out the window.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have a clear shot. Maybe there were other people that they had to worry about.
Yeah,
but
true.
The good news is that by singing an Irving Berlin Christmas tune, everything turned out okay.
It saved the day, that White Christmas.
Just in a hail of gunfire, the gunman shrieked out, "You're not Bing Crosby!"
I want to hear, "Baby, it's cold outside." I've heard that all year. Want to hear it now.
Some like a random fact about White Christmas that was written by Irving Berlin. Well, 2 things. One, his name was not Irving Berlin. It was Israel Baleen, but they couldn't read his name on the first part of sheet music that he sent in. They thought it was Irving Berlin because they couldn't read his handwriting. Second was that he wrote White Christmas when he himself was in a deep depression, hated the song, crumpled it up and threw it in a waste paper basket. And it was actually his daughter that fished it out of the wastebasket and sent it to his publishers. No, it never would have seen the light of day if she hadn't done that.
Oh, that's an amazing story.
I
didn't know that.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, what's so interesting, think about this from a cultural standpoint. Many, and it's at one point, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, I read an article about it. And at that point, I don't think it's probably changed that much. More than half of the top 100 all-time Christmas songs, the canon that are not carols from church, more than half were written by Jewish people.
Huh. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Did not know that. And another fun fact is I went through the entire Christmas season without hearing any Christmas carols.
Really?
Wow. I did. I avoided them on purpose. I didn't want to hear them. I didn't want to be bombarded by them. And I also, another not so fun fact, didn't get any Christmas cookies either. So, yeah.
Well, you won't make that mistake.
I know. The person supposed to be baking them didn't come through. You know who you are.
Now, by carols, do you mean literally church songs? Are you talking about Christmas music, period?
No, I didn't tune into anything, like to sit and listen on purpose, just because it just not my thing. I was told, I wasn't told, but I was thinking to myself, I really hate this music. Why am I listening to it? So I didn't listen to it.
I really hate this music.
Why? Why would I subject myself to the same dopey songs?
Grinch Sturgis.
Well, it was great. It was great. I finally figured out Manfred Mann's song in that time. It's deuce, not douche, people. It's deuce, revved up like a deuce.
Yes, and you know who wrote the song, don't you?
Who?
Bruce Springsteen.
He wasn't he? He was the one that wrote that one. Okay.
By the Light on his very first album.
Yeah. Good song. Okay. Anyhow.
I have to admit, I really love Christmas music. But
I don't. I don't.
After a full month, I am ready for it to go away.
I think what ruined it for me was when society said "Baby, It's Cold Outside" is a bad song. And I'm like, screw you people.
Well, it's a rapey song. It's not a bad
I
song.
know.
It's a rapey song.
It's not. It was sung and written in a time that was way different.
44.
Yeah. Way different time. When
rapey was okay.
No, it was not okay. He does not assault the woman in the song, does he?
Well, no. It's between the lines.
He's not singing, "I'm gonna kiss you all over." He's not saying that. He's saying, "Hey,
what's in this drink?"
Yeah, that is the one line.
That was the one line that raised the ire. But for all those years, it was okay. All of a sudden, it's not. What?
I know.
I listened to all of them. I have an old hi-fi system and all the old records.
Oh,
going
and old
we
school.
listened to. Oh yeah, we found this amazing set. Actually, a couple of box sets, Christmas sets. That how they. This is gonna sound weird. You know how they used to give out records when you made a large purchase?
Yes.
Yeah. Like a car, for instance.
Yeah.
So,
right.
yeah, and so we found a couple of boxed Christmas sets that have like Julie Andrews and Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire and all these different people that were given out for Firestone.
Wow,
Really?
now that's a collector's item right there.
Yeah, that's very cool.
If you get if you got new Firestone tires, like a set of tires, you got this box set of Christmas music, and it is amazing. Now, I'm sure no one could afford to license music like that, like they did back then when the studios owned a lot of it. But the records are awesome. I wear an apron around the house and
see, now I might listen to those. I might listen to those.
It's awesome.
Record.
No, I won't listen to new stuff. I only listen to the old stuff.
Yeah. Well, each their own, and it really was a good Christmas. I just chose not to listen to any Christmas carols. That's all. Okay, moving along. Where would you guys like to go next?
This is kind of like a scary story about.
They're all scary so far.
That's true. This is about a student at Lehigh University. Yeah, no, it's creepy. So he's a student originally from China, and he's going to Lehigh University for chemistry. His name is Yukai Yang, and he is 23 years old. He is back in custody again because they were worried he was going to flee. Because I guess his mother was maybe trying to help him. They're investigating. He poisoned his roommate with thallium.
Good God.
Damn. Wow.
Well, I was going to say he sounds like a Chinese cowboy. Yukai Yang! But I don't think that anymore at all because Yukai Yang.
No, wasn't there
a Chinese cowboy would not poison his
years
roommate.
ago? Wasn't there another story about Oriental individual that cannibalized somebody and then they ran to China or whatever after they're done?
Well, there's a lot of people that have flown the coop if they've got like double.
Yeah.
You know
who I'm talking about, right? He ate his roommate.
I think so. I'm going to miss the name, but the thing that to me is really interesting about thallium is because it is actually known as, quote, the poisoner's poison.
Now, why do they like that drug so well?
Along arsenic too. What is it? Something about the inheritance powder. They call it that too. it dissolves really well. And you don't get symptoms right away. It's typically found in rat poisons and other type of insecticides. But
oh my good Lord.
You can mix it with a bunch of different things, and you're not going to know that it's there. It's a very quiet poison.
Did he show up and say, "How do you feel about eggnog"?
It's very odd. Like this is the weird part, is that so this kid, right, Yang, tries to poison his roommate.
Yeah.
But he'd been roommates with the same person for like years.
Wow.
Why did he decide to just poison them out of nowhere? He just felt the urge, or what?
Well, so he poisoned the victim, Juan Royal, who over several months, right? So drawing it out with and it builds up, of course, in your system. And Juan Royal started getting dizziness, vomiting, and he was so sick on a couple of occasions that the police were called to help him out. It's, but thallium is odorless, colorless. You don't know it's there. And Yang, I guess, had started writing racial slurs around the room. So honestly, I'm almost thinking maybe pre-psychosis for this kid.
Yeah.
Because there were no problems between them before. There was nothing indicating that he ever had a problem with his roommate. His roommate liked him, did not suspect anything.
Well, allegedly he wrote the N-word and get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah.
A marker on Royal's desk in their room.
Right. And he trashed his television and his bed. So he's getting this aggressive behavior that sort of comes out of nowhere. And the other thing that I was thinking about is that a chemistry student, right? Yeah. A lot of times they don't take the precautions they're supposed to take.
Sure.
They get fast and loose with things. They handle things with their bare hands that they should be wearing gloves for, that sort of thing. I'm wondering, too, if maybe it wasn't the onset of psychosis from handling chemicals maybe that he shouldn't have been messing with.
Maybe because, like you said, they were roommates for years.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was, new roommate didn't like him. I'm going to knock him off. I'm going to get him out of here. No, they were, I'm reading that. They were roommates for many years, for quite some time, and just seems so odd. Now, allegedly tried to flee the country.
Supposedly. So his mom got him out on a cash bond, right? But they were suspecting him of attempting to flee the country. I guess they were sort of getting him ready to go, and authorities got a tip off somehow, and they brought him back, and now they're asking for no bail because they're saying that maybe he tried to poison someone before. And if that is the case, clearly it's not just a psychotic break. Then
deal.
It's
yeah. And a chemistry student would probably know.
Oh, absolutely. And you're not going to suspect that. I mean, of the things that people test for when you come in, I mean, you have to catch it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then do a really thorough autopsy.
Yeah.
To know.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that is a strange story, kind of scary at the same time, that he would poison this roommate, but not one time, but for a long period of time. That's sadistic is what that is.
Oh, very much. I mean, most poisoners are incredibly sadistic. It's not like they give a huge, because they don't want to be caught, right? Yeah. And so they do it a little bit at a time so that the person seems sick. And I don't think that thallium leaves the Mies lines like arsenic does. Mm-hmm. Do you guys know what I'm talking about there?
No, I don't.
No,
not a peep of it.
So sorry. So thallium is the poisoner's poison because it poisons in a similar way to arsenic. The person just gets very, very ill. People think they have the flu and they're not recovering. But the problem with arsenic is that arsenic leaves these things on the fingernails that are called Mies lines, Mees.
Okay.
And they're little horizontal white lines. You know, like how if you bend a nail back,
sure,
you get a white line?
Yep.
Imagine having a white line that you didn't know where it came from on all of your fingernails for no reason.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I have those.
It's the body excreting the arsenic. So arsenic victims often have these Mies lines in their nails.
Now arsenic is naturally occurring, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I mean thallium too. I mean it's there, and thallium is even easier because of the naturally odorless and tasteless and all of that, which is why. And that's the other thing. I don't think that when cutting the body open, there is any scent, which I know sounds awful.
It sounds pretty awful.
Yeah, this sounds horrible.
Well, there's no scent to thallium. There's no taste. There's no odor. But when you cut open a body that has been poisoned, especially with arsenic. Now, arsenic does have a scent to it that people describe as a bitter almond scent, or like an almond that's sort of decaying. If you've ever had a nut, an almond that's kind of going bad.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you don't. So, like, let's say that the Mies lines didn't appear on the victim's fingernails with arsenic poisoning. Mm-hmm. When the ME would cut the body open to do the autopsy, they would very pronounced smell of this bitter almond. And thallium doesn't leave that either. Thallium needs a blood test.
Okay. Well, now I know. If I smell bitter almond.
Cyanide too. Same. Bitter almond.
Wow. Man, what a horrible way to go.
Thallium.
Oddly, though, while there were no Mies lines, there were lots of U's lines.
And some us lines. Yes. They're all there except for the Mies lines. Speaking of dismemberment together. No. Yeah.
No, okay. I have to ask both of you this because you're parents. I am not a parent. And this, the reason I brought this story into it is because I'm honestly curious. There is a guy, I think he's out of Michigan. He's going to face life in prison after a woman's mutilated body was discovered. Okay, so we're thinking he killed the woman and then he dismembered her. But the more weird part of this story is that both of his parents were arrested too.
Why?
Because they lied, to help their son. They're accused of lying to prosecutors.
Well,
now that's what I want to ask you guys. Like, what? Like, you guys are parents. Do you lie if you know? Because he told his parents they knew that he was disposing of body parts.
Okay.
They knew of it.
I gotta say, personally, me speaking, I would not lie for anyone, including my children, if they're disposing of body parts.
Yeah, I would say society is owed the truth regarding my children's disposal of bodies.
Yeah, what do they do? They caught him in a compromising position. What you doing over there with that wood chipper and that girl? Well, get rid of a body.
Yeah, no, we'll turn the blind eye to the occasional borderline rapey behavior. Maybe every now and then you can sing. Maybe it's cold outside, and But when it comes to removed body parts, it's another thing if they're attached, but if they're removed,
if it's dismembered, that's where we draw that line.
I think society probably needs to know about.
I would imagine they are owed an explanation of why this poor young lady is cut up into pieces. Would be the explanation.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't want to speak for parents out there because I don't know. I'm like,
I can't speak for all parents, but I can speak for this parent. I would not.
Seriously, it would be agonizing beyond belief. It would be horrifying, really, in every way. Because think how guilty you would feel. Oh my God, I raised this person,
this monster.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, what went wrong? Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, I just don't see how you could justify.
That's grisly too. Oh
not,
my God.
Not dealing with the situation.
Yeah, wow. It is kind of interesting. And the weirdest part to me, too, is that his dad, James, so just to put it out there, the Michigan man is named Jared Chance, okay? And his father worked as a police officer for most of his life.
Jeez, so he knows. Yeah, he was arrested on charges of mutilating a body and concealing a death on October 2nd when Young's torso, the victim, of course, was found beneath a tarp in the shared basement of his Grand Rapids rental unit. Reports, wow. Huh.
Well, that's another thing, too. You're renting this place and you have a shared basement, like where you do laundry. I'm sorry, the last thing I want to come into contact with doing laundry is like, oh, look, there's a tarp on the floor. I wonder what's underneath it.
Yeah, don't look.
My God.
Don't look. Yeah. Here's the thing. Yeah, I especially when the authorities show up and say, hey, guess what? you're going to do life in prison too because you help him conceal the body and you help murder her in essence after the fact. So you're going to go down to, oh, hell no, I'd be singing like a canary. Nope.
Yeah, because they're both charged with accessory to murder after the fact. My guess is that those probably will be dropped if they just agree to testify against their son if he doesn't take a deal.
I would say, hey, Jared, sorry, you and the sandwich man, the other Jared, you're going to have to be in a cell together.
Man.
For your own protection. So what I guess I didn't hear. What are all the details? I mean, what kind of crimes are we talking about here and how many?
Well, okay, there was a Kalamazoo woman, age 30 or 31, who it sounds like she was last seen with this guy, Jared Chance, at a Grand Rapids pub on November 29th. So that's the last time she was seen, right? And then nobody hears anything from her, and she is dead. We don't know how she became deceased, but Young, or her last name is Young, Chance, basically decided that he is going to conceal this death. My guess is because he's guilty of why she died, and starts cutting her up and told his parents what he was doing.
Yeah,
and he was discovered, because they're looking for the girl, right? So they eventually this gets discovered, but the parents lied to authorities repeatedly.
Could you imagine what it says in that refrigerator to-do list? Get milk, feed the cat, hide the body. That's.
Oh God.
I mean, buy tarp.
Yeah, buy tarp. Sharper wood chipper.
Lime. We need more lime.
Lots of lime. Lot of it. Truckload of it.
Yeah. Terrible.
All right.
That's
I was curious. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Little known fact.
I mean, loyalty can only. That's when you become a clan, right? I mean, that's clannish. That's the very definition of clannish behavior.
Well, sure
if you circle the wagons and protect your offspring, who is a freaking serial killer, that is not civic-minded behavior.
We're not sure if he's a serial. We're not sure if he's a serial killer, though. He only did kill one, but one's enough.
Maybe.
Let's not give him an opportunity.
Little known fact, though, lime is the gangster's best friend. So maybe
quick lime, and cement. Yeah.
Yuppers, but this is
H.H. Holmes too.
Yeah, this is a messed up story.
It is.
Gee, kids.
Yes, well, but this next one, I don't want to be like impressed with a criminal, because I feel like that's wrong.
Well,
but there are times. There's times when I read a report and I'm like, oh my God, this is one of them. His name is Rogelio Tapia. He's 26, and he was accused of assaulting a convenience store clerk with a banana.
As long as it had a Chiquita sticker on it.
What I want to know is, did he sharpen it first?
I don't know, but he caused about $1,000 in damage to this store.
Wow.
So,
banana.
I know.
With a banana.
Well, I guess that's one of many items, but the banana is really what stood out to her in the attack.
It started out with the banana, escalated from there, maybe.
Yes.
So,
oh my Lord.
So why though? I mean, what's the why? Why would you assault this poor person with a banana?
Well, who knows what is in the mind of these people? I don't know. They never really got a reason, but he was charged with simple assault, interference with official acts, third-degree criminal mischief. I mean, he was just causing all sorts of trouble.
Mayhem, general mayhem.
Yeah, with fruit.
with delectable and delicious fruit.
Well, this segues remarkably well into a story that just popped up on Facebook.
All right.
The title alone is enough to fill the next 6 minutes. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Stone dude breaks into zoo, gets bashed by tiny monkeys. No mention of bananas yet.
Not or flying poo.
Tiny monkeys. Oh
yeah, they show these little teeny weeny monkeys. Listen to this. He got a broken leg,
wow,
fractured teeth, a sprained wrist. I mean, the monkeys went ape. Wait, I can't say that.
Wow.
On him. How is that? Whoa now.
happened? What did he do?
He broke in. He got high, needless to say. 23-year-old, and he in Australia, and he broke in. Let's see, where was it? No, New Zealand. It was in New Zealand. John admits he was high as a kite when he bypassed an unsecured gate, broke through 2 padlocks, and entered the monkey enclosure at the Wellington Zoo. He had it in his mind he was going to catch one of the little fellas, squirrel monkeys, a canopy-dwelling species from Central and South America, and take it home to his girlfriend.
I used to know a guy that had a monkey.
The squirrel monkeys had other ideas.
I'm telling you, monkeys can be dangerous.
I don't know what happened in the squirrel monkey enclosure, said Wellington District Court Judge Bill Hastings during John's sentencing. The squirrel monkeys know. You could
the squirrel monkeys only the squirrel monkeys know.
The judge concluded,
"Oh, good Lord.
You couldn't find him again, and I don't speak squirrel monkey anyway." But anyway, he had a broken leg, 2 fractured teeth, a sprained ankle, and bruises on his back. That's the guy.
Did you know that Miss Baker was an astronaut squirrel monkey who rode into space for the United States space program?
Did not know that.
Yes, and she returned safely.
Nice.
Wow.
This guy should have known better, man.
Don't mess with the squirrel monkey.
Squirrel monkeys, they're astronauts.
Squirrel monkeys unite. Let's stop this guy from getting into the enclosure.
But seriously, though, they are pretty tiny. Like they're small.
They're not very big.
They're only like 14 inches long at the biggest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
This is in Australian, so it's 35 centimeters, and they weigh no more than 1,100 grams. They're little, like 26 ounces. They're little.
They're just teeny tiny little fellers.
Remember, the title didn't say small monkey.
No.
It said tiny monkey.
A teeny tiny little monkey. He jumps in there.
It's got a picture. It's in Vice, so go to Vice.com. The picture of this squirrel monkey, this up close, that is one badass squirrel monkey.
Well, it's a ninja monkey
God.
is what it is.
Hilarious. It is hilarious.
Wow.
I will Facebook it to you.
I cannot wait. Just looking at sort of some of this, and actually the Central American ones are one of the few species of squirrel monkey, I guess, that are endangered, but it sounds like they hang out in big groups quite often. Like they live together in the wild with like 500 member groups sometimes.
It's a mob of them is what it is.
So look
that would be scary.
I put it in. Look, I am. Look, put it in. Look at the face. Look at that. Mean-ass squirrel monkey.
It's an angry squirrel monkey, and he's not taking any of his crap.
Well, he was gonna monkey nap one of them, so
monkey up one of them. He's just
you
monkeying
think I'm
about.
A gift to your girlfriend?
He's just monkeying about anyway.
We will break you.
Wow. Wow.
And they did.
Well, you know what? He deserves it. Because, and who, like, can you imagine being that girlfriend too? Like, wait, you did what?
Yeah, right?
You got super high and you broke into an enclosure, got beat to within an inch of your life because you were going to steal me a monkey. Then what do I do with it?
Yeah, that became the ex-girlfriend really quick, I would imagine.
I really hope so. And if not, please break up with this guy.
Yeah, like now. Get rid of him now. Don't do this to yourself anymore.
A kite.
All right, we got to get out of here. When we come back, we got more After Hours AM Criminal Code for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to this edition of After Hours AM, the Criminal Code. If you're just tuning in, we're going to dive headlong into what is an enigma, which is wrapped into a question, which is the strange story of Carl Panzram. Now, if you've never heard of Carl Panzram, I encourage you, I implore you, to go over to thecriminalcode.com. That's your one-stop shop for all things true crime awesomeness. And it also happens to be written and run, and the proprietor of that great site is none other than Dr. Clarissa Cole. And also, while you're at it, if you're not there already, you really need to stop into America's-Most-Haunted.com and check that out, because each and every show is accompanied by an article written by Mr. Eric Olson. That is both Wednesday and Thursday night, and it's full of amaze-mo stuff. I did all that perfectly, even with a sinus cold.
Nice. You are Mr. Articulate Minnesota.
That's right, Minnesota. Yeah. You know, that's funny, because all the listeners, most of them, don't realize I am from Minnesota. They say, "Well, where's your accent?" After years of radio training, they break you of that, whether you like it or whether you don't. They will beat that out of you. And
you really have mostly purged it. I mean, I know, so I pick it up once in a while, but it is a light accent.
It's a really hard one to shake, but I have somehow done that. Anyhow, moving along, and we're going to talk more importantly about what we have tonight for your second half and your debauchery helping of true crime.
Yes. So my article is rendered essentially worthless by the events of the evening, but that's all right. Because we're still very, very excited to have Dr. Clarissa Cole joining us, even with the remnants of the flu ravaging her lithe body. Right?
Ravaging. You make it sound like she's dying of the flesh-eating virus or something.
Kind of flopping on the floor.
Yeah. Even though her extremities have all but fallen off because of the of the leprosy.
There's some twitching. There's twitching involved. So she has joined us through a haze of disease.
Haze of disease.
In order.
Gosh, you make her sound so attractive, Eric. She's diseased.
To set the record straight on serial killer Carl Panzram, who is a Minnesotan himself. And very importantly, you should go check out Clarissa's take on Carl on her The Criminal Code site. And that's under the Killer Compendium Killer. I'm not looking at the section. Right. What section's that under?
It is. It's under the Killer Compendium, and it's probably on the homepage right now, too, because it's the most recent article.
It is the top story. So just to give a super, really, really brief intro, because we weren't prepared for this. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we have, even though she is diseased, even though there's little flecks of disease spittle may come through my earphones at any moment. She has joined us. So, serial killer Carl Panzram befriends Henry Lesser, a young jail guard at the Washington, D.C. jail in 1928. After hearing of Panzram's torture, Lesser sends Panzram $1 and convinces the killer to write his autobiography while secretly supplying him with pencil and paper. Panzram writes over 40,000 words documenting his entire life and incarceration, including torture, rape, and murder.
Oh, my.
Take it away, Dr. Clarissa Cole.
All right. Yes, this is a very intriguing case for me, Carl Panzram, because of the way he is able to express himself. Eric, you mentioned it, that he had kind of a pen pal sort of relationship with one of the guards later in his life. So we'll get to that. But starting off, Carl Panzram was born in 1892 in Grand Forks, Minnesota. Now, what is Grand Forks, Minnesota like, Joel?
Cold and barren. It's on the border of North Dakota and Minnesota. And so it's on the western part of the state, which is very sparsely populated by and large. Very rural, very hard place to live. It's also part of the high plains, so it gets super uber windy and cold there. So life there is really hard. At least it was, especially back then. But it is still. I hate traveling to that part of the state because it's two things: cold and flat.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of
my first girlfriend.
Oh God. What kind of farms do they have there? If it's so like barren,
corn. I mean, during the summer it grows just fine. Corn, wheat, cattle. You know, your normal. It's basically
chilly and horizontal.
Yeah, it's a lot like an Iowa or a North Dakota, of course. I mean, great place if you're from there, and God bless you, but it sucks. You know, for me anyway.
Well, no, because I've been to certain places in Minnesota, and I'm from Wisconsin, and I was thinking that this would be a very unforgiving place to settle down.
Yeah, let's just say it's the suck factor is pretty high in that area. So,
all right,
you know, I think I said enough right there. It's pretty tough.
Okay,
it's a hard place to live. All right,
it wasn't a ringing endorsement.
No, well, and in 1892, I'm sure it was far less populated than it is now, and
it was
far
colder
less.
and flatter.
Yeah, modern conveniences being what they were. So, Carl Panzram he was Prussian immigrants. Were his parents? They settled there, bought a farm, and what isn't usually mentioned about his life, it's very odd because you read these stories about his life, and it basically sounds like he was raised on this farm with his parents, and he became incorrigible and just started drinking at a young age, and that's not what happened. his dad left when he was only about 7 years old. And a lot of accounts do not include that. It makes it seem like he was raised by two parents, and he was not. He was raised primarily by his mother, and his mother had 4 kids to look after, or no, 5 kids to look after. And 2 of them, the older brothers, left home as soon as they could. So age 13, 14. So by the time Carl was sort of old enough to be working on the farm, he had 1 older brother and 1 younger sister left. So he would go to school all day and then work the farm all into the night, every day, Saturdays and Sundays. And his mom was pretty verbally, it sounds like, abusive and physically abusive. She used to beat the children.
Yeah.
So
back in those days, wasn't that kind of normal back in those days, though?
It was,
you know?
but it was characterized as being pretty excessive. That he didn't know, because he didn't know why he was being beaten, and that to me speaks to abuse. Like kids that believe me, I've talked to plenty of guys who are when they say, yeah, my mom whipped me, and I'm like, well, why did she beat you? And they're like, oh, good reasons. They're usually very straight up about it. They're very honest about it. The guys I talked to, he said that it was very difficult because he and his younger sister, they didn't know when she was going to beat them or what.
Oh, so it was a beating by surprise. Surprise! Whack, 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 whack.
Yeah, kind of. He's like, it was almost impossible to behave because you didn't know what behavior would trigger her.
Beating therapy for the mom.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really hard.
I'm going to go on a limb and say she was taking out on the children because the father left. She was taking that aggression and anger out on them.
Right, and I'm thinking that's why the two older brothers left right away too.
Yeah.
Normally in that time period, especially, they'd stick around to help mom with the farm, but it sounds like mom was so abusive that they got out of there. So
they're like, screw you and your cows, we're leaving.
Yeah, exactly. And leaving the younger kids to deal with her. And Carl was the youngest boy. So by age 11, he had taken to stealing. He was probably stealing even before that, but he got popped at age 11. He'd stolen some apples, some cakes, and a revolver. It sounded so cute till then, from a neighbor. And this, it resulted in a court date. And also his mom decided at that point she didn't want to deal with him anymore. So she placed him in the Minnesota training school. Doesn't that sound cute?
Yeah, that was in Red Wing. Because they still have.
And you wear special pants.
Yeah, they have a school there.
Training pants.
Yeah, special training pants.
So
it
does
the
it
bikes
still
and
exist?
training wheels. Yeah, I know this because I had a cousin that ended up there because he was kind of a rambunctious teenager. I mean, since now straightened out his life, a wonderful guy, and joined the Navy and became something. But anyhow, that was in function. I want to say it might even still be in the 90s. It was still something was running there, not this school because it was burned to the ground. But anyhow, there was a reformatory for boys there at that point as well.
Yeah, we have the Ethan Allen School in Wisconsin, and that's the same thing. It's like a reformatory school.
Furniture.
No, they don't. It's the same name, but which is so funny because I always associated Ethan Allen with the reform school.
I did.
So
I was thinking of making furniture there. You will make the furniture. I don't want to make furniture. You will make it.
Everybody else thinks it's really nice furniture. So when I moved out to California, people are like, "Oh, Ethan Allen furniture." I'm like, "What? They have delinquent kids there? What's going on?"
License plates and Davenports.
They keep them in the drawers.
So Panzram, at this point, this is in the, I think 1890s or a little bit after that, he was sent to this Minnesota training school, and it was billed as a reformatory. But back then, like therapy, like they do with kids now, wasn't really what they did. They were basically just work camps.
Well,
and Bible schools. So these reformatories were like, look, you're going to take 4 hours of religion and you're going to work. That's what they did. And Panzram described the horrors of the place later. There was the kids actually called it the painting house because children were always painted with bruises and blood.
Oh, that sounds
nice.
horrible. Now, okay, Dr. Cole, I got to stop you right here. Do you believe any of this?
Yes, because of other accounts of it.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I was going to say, because the guy, writing it kind of comes off as a little bit of a liar. I'm just saying.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, and we're gonna get to that too. But
Okay.
like when it comes to his early life, like his brothers and sisters corroborated his mother's abuse. They corroborated the dad leaving, and then other students at the school corroborated things that happened there. So so far
it's right on. This is his life.
So far, it seems about right. Yeah,
Carl, this is your life. Yeah. So
yes, and it was a Christian school, right? But he described being sexually abused for the first time.
Naturally, it was a Christian school.
Right. I know. It's terrible, but true. And by the adults there as well as the kids. So he basically learned to equate adults in power with really horrible things.
Sodomy.
Yeah, sodomy. And he reportedly burned the reformatory to the ground in 1905. However, accounts are kind of mixed on that. There was a fire. Did he set it? We don't know. I mean, so that's where we're getting into the like sketchy history, right?
Okay.
But Panzram was shuttled back and forth, jail, home, reformatory court, until he finally did run away at age 14. And he did look a little bit older than he was. He probably looked 15, 16. And he used to hop train cars where, of course, he was also abused. And at 15, he decided to lie about his age and join the U.S. Army. And they took him. He was 15.
Well,
wow. My grandfather was 16, but that was World War One.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and this is, that time period, right? Yeah. So they took him, but he got in trouble for larceny pretty quickly, right? He was dishonorably discharged, but on top of that, he spent 2 years at Fort Leavenworth for it.
Ooh,
and for him
rocks.
him to spend 2 years at Leavenworth, Taft, the person who became President Taft, William Taft, was actually lower in rank. He was not president yet. And he had to sign off, like on the paperwork, for him to go to Fort Leavenworth. So Panzram kind of always had a thing about Taft signing that
Question. Did any of this come out at this time, though? He was technically a minor at this point, and so he couldn't have gone to federal adult prison, even back then?
Yes, not. Yeah, no. And Fort Leavenworth, he said that he lost any shred of humanity that he still might have had because he was young, and I'm sure he was taken advantage of. And it is very hard labor at Leavenworth, or it was. And from his release in 1910, from 1910 to 1918, Panzram went on a burglary spree. That's really what he was good at, let's be honest. He was a thief. That was his thing.
Okay.
Right? He burglarized homes in Astoria, Oregon, and he was caught. And the other thing he was good at, escape. This guy escaped more prisons.
The Pablo Escobar.
Oh my God. I didn't even put them all in the article. There's too many. The guy escaped custody 1 million times.
But he got caught 1 million times.
He did. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, think about it.
But this was his first real escape, right? So he's sentenced to 7 years for burglary in the Oregon State Penitentiary in Salem. But he was determined to stay out of custody, and he escaped with fellow inmate Otto Hooker. And while attempting to evade capture, Hooker killed Harry Minto. That was the prison warden at Oregon.
Wow.
And now Panzram's all of a sudden an accessory to murder. And that really is, aside from like minor assault, that's the first time that Panzram was indicated for anything big. And everyone said, including Otto Hooker, he didn't do it. He had nothing to do with Minto's murder, didn't know it was going to happen, and tried to get away. And then he never really trusted another inmate after that either. Because the one person he
should not.
Well, I mean,
committed murder.
That's a pretty terrible upbringing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they're criminals.
And like your first friend, you bust out of prison and then they go and kill the warden. It's like, really, you're going for a life sentence there. So Panzram developed a bunch of aliases. He went to New Haven, Connecticut, and this is after he escapes. Right, he successfully burglarized one of the homes of William Taft.
Wow, that's ballsy.
Good for him.
Ballsy is unreal. He stole jewels belonging to Taft's wife and a .45 caliber handgun that he used in crimes afterwards. And he targeted Taft because he blamed Taft for his stint at Leavenworth.
Wow.
And he bought a yacht with the money.
A yacht?
Yeah, he did. He bought a yacht.
Wow.
He bought a yacht with the money that he gained from the Taft burglary, and
that must have been quite a burglary.
It must have been. And how do you find a fence that would be willing to touch the first lady's jewels?
Well, jewels at that time were not marked as well. They were much easier to just just pop them out of their settings if they weren't marked well and sell them. I mean, it's not like today.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of people being interested, actually. Like, what? Yeah. And he didn't get near what they were worth. I mean, not even close, but it was enough money at that time
to buy a yacht.
To buy a yacht. Yeah.
A yacht. Not a boat, but a yacht.
A yacht. No, a yacht that he named the Akista. And he, at this point, said, this is what he reported, that he lured sailors onto the boat in the guise of hiring them, right? Deckhands, that sort of thing. Got them drunk, raped them, and murdered them, dumping their bodies in the ocean. This is what he said he did. 10 guys.
That's a lot of guys to knock off and
dump in the ocean without them ever being discovered. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot, and kind of unbelievable at that. But anyway, the Akista, the yacht, it did run aground near Atlantic City and sank at one point. And he said that at this point he went to Africa, and there's nothing to say that he didn't go to Africa. He probably did. Landed in Portuguese Angola. And there he claims to have raped and killed a boy, as well as some boatsmen that he hired to take him, through parts of Africa. He said that he killed them and fed them to the crocodiles.
Why would he kill the help?
Don't know.
I mean, this is all horrible. Don't get me wrong. And he just seems like he's pumping up his street cred.
Totally. Yeah, because there is no, that I am aware of, there are no credible accounts for any of the sailors and none of the people in Portuguese Angola. There's nothing.
Yeah. Because now, wasn't he I might be going too far into the story, so stop me if I am, but wasn't he a bit notorious for copying for crimes he never did?
Not at this point.
Okay.
So not at this point in his life. He's still in the pre-phases of, he's just sort of a braggart, sort of on the street, right? Because he's not in custody long term. So he's not telling them anything at this point, because he came back to the United States and he's probably thinking that the thing in Oregon has sort of died down at this point, because he's been overseas. And in 1928, he was caught again in New York, and he was given, this is unreal to me, he was given a 25 to life sentence for burglary.
Well, it was Taft.
No, this isn't the Taft.
Oh, this isn't the Taft. Okay.
No, this was a train station.
Wow, 25 to life, or
sounds like they were sick of him. They were sick.
Yes. Yeah. And that was what it was, in light of his extensive criminal record. So all I can say is that it was 1928, but you know how we're getting rid of it, I think, but how in the 80s we had the 3 strikes law.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where if you're in custody a lot, even if you didn't kill anybody or rape anybody, you're going to get 25 times. It sounds like in the 1920s, this was similar. Okay. That it's like a 3 strikes, you're out. So he is going to go to prison for 25 to life. And he's not yet at Leavenworth. This is where he meets Henry Lesser. It's in Henry Lesser, God love him. He was new. He was a new prison guard, and not even a prison guard. He was a jail guard. This is when he's hanging out in jail. Yeah, he's a jailer, right? So this is when Panzram is hanging out in jail. And I guess Panzram, the way he looked, and Panzram was an exceedingly tough looking man. He is scary looking. He's much bigger than a lot of guys were at that point in history. Mm-hmm. At least 6 foot, at least 200 pounds, bunch of tattoos. Very scary. And he scared everybody in the jail except this guy named Henry Lesser. So when Henry Lesser realized that Panzram didn't have enough money to buy cigarettes, he loaned him $1 so he could go and buy them.
Oh, what a guy.
Yeah. And then he said to Panzram, who was basically, I think, trying to pump himself up in front of Lesser, he was like, wow, your stories are really interesting. You know what? You should write those down. And then Lesser bought him a writing instrument and paper.
To write his confessions.
Yeah. To write his life stories.
Yeah.
Like, you're going
memoir.
You're going 25 to life anyway. You should write down what you've done. And Panzram was so touched by that tiny little act of kindness, that he wrote letters to this jailer, Henry Lesser, until his death.
Henry Lesser,
until Panzram's death.
Henry Lesser, I like you so much, I'm not even going to sodomite you.
I know it doesn't, but this is where it's going to factor later in the story, into sort of the profile of Panzram, where things don't make sense. They don't add up, right? So he's sitting in this jail cell. He's going to do 25 to life, but he's going to do 25 to life in some stupid, Sing Sing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
a prison that is really harsh with a lot of prisoners that have access to you all the time because you're living in dorm settings. Do you know what I mean? Like really bad.
Yeah. It's like Attica with attitude.
It definitely. Sing Sing was not the place to go. And Panzram does not want to go there. And so, he's being held at Leavenworth because he's a military prisoner. And he basically tells Henry Lesser he's going to kill the first man that bothers him. And he told the warden at Leavenworth that too. And eventually he proceeded to murder the prison laundry supervisor, Robert Warnke, with a heavy iron bar.
At least he was on.
Yeah, he was telling the truth there. I'm going to kill the first dude that messes with me. I'm just letting you know that right now.
Well, and it's interesting to me because Robert Warnke was very carefully selected. He was very, very punitive to the inmates. He was known for being very punitive. He wasn't actually an officer either. He was one of those people that comes in from the outside, like a business owner. Mm-hmm. And he was ridiculously punitive toward the inmates, including Panzram, who got written up a couple of times for infractions that weren't even infractions. And so Panzram's basically warning him, hey, man, don't make my life hard. I just want to come to the laundry, do my shift, and go back to my cell. Yeah. And Warnke kept giving him trouble, and that was who he chose. So Panzram hit him twice over the head with the iron bar. The iron bar was always used to prop open the door in the laundry, so it wasn't like opportunity. The bar was always there. And he hit him from behind twice on the head. That's it. And he was sentenced to death, went to death row, and on September 5th, 1930, he was scheduled to hang. And this is history. When he reached the top of the platform for his execution, the marshals attempted to put that black hood over the head that they usually do.
Yeah.
And Panzram scoffed, saying, hurry up, you Hoosier bastard. I could kill 10 men while you're fooling around.
Wow.
Those were his last words. Yep.
You Hoosier bastard.
Well, yeah. Well, this is, I'm on the Wikipedia page as well, and this is what they're saying. This is what they claim he said. In my lifetime, I've murdered 21 human beings. I've committed thousands of burglaries, robberies, arsons, everything else. But what gets me more than anything else is I've committed sodomy more than 1,000, on more than 1,000 male human beings. Wow.
That's what he said.
My gosh. And he says, I'm not the least bit sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That is insanity. That's
he was not a
nice dude. I would not want to hang out with him.
No, but the thing that is very interesting is that he definitely changed Henry Lesser's life, because when he wrote his life story, he sent those letters to Lesser. They weren't just written down; they were sent to him. And what Lesser noticed was just the brutality that he had endured, that Panzram had endured this entire time, and most of that brutality was while he was in the system. Because back then it was all work camps and physical punishment. Like there's an example one time where they some officers so Panzram's confessions, right, to murder the first confessions came after he was tied with a rope to a pole with his hands above his head for 28 hours.
Oh yeah,
while they beat him, and he was on his tiptoes. That's all that could touch the ground. And officers beat him for 28 hours straight, and then he finally confessed to murder.
Wow, that
was his first confession. So, yeah, real reliable confession.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That is ridiculous treatment, even of somebody like that. I mean,
and that was very typical. That was very typical back then. And, like a lot of guys died in the chain gangs because they weren't getting basic water. They weren't getting their basic needs met. And Panzram was physically strong from being on a lot of these work details, but he was physically and mentally abused most of his life. Of course, we all choose our own actions, but it changed Henry Lesser's life in that when Lesser retired from being a police officer, he took all of these letters, Panzram's letters, and he went around the country giving lectures about how we needed to reform the justice system.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. We're getting into the next half hour where, of course, you dive into his head a little bit and you give us your thoughts of what created him. And that was one of my questions. So we're going to run a break. We come back. We're going to talk to Dr. Cole about basically what made him become this. Was it circumstances? Was it life? Or was he indeed just a psychopath that wanted to kill? We'll be right back right after this.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So Daddy's little girl thinks she's going to prom tonight with some punk who calls himself Snake.
Yeah, they grow up so fast.
Well, not if I can help it, they don't.
Okay, here's what you do. When that kid shows up, Dad's going to be doing a few chores around the house.
Huh?
It doesn't matter the chore. What's important is that it requires the use of a 60cc gas-powered chainsaw and possibly a mask.
I think it's showtime.
He's here. Dad, I want you to meet...
All right, let her rip.
What's that, honey? Hi, Snake. Great to meet you. But wait, where are you going?
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard.
Try telling a bear that. I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey. Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. You know, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, the Criminal Code. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me.
Eric Olson and...
Dr. Clarissa Cole.
Now, we talked about Carl Panzram and what he went through and what it was like to be alive in that era and the individual, his hardships, da-da-da. The big question is, though, A, was it life that made him this way? Or was he born crazy and was psychopathy part of what made Carl, or was it circumstances that made him break? Life circumstances. And 2, or is he just a liar? Is he a BS artist? You know? So I guess tackle it from the top, Dr. Cole. Do you think the system made the monster?
Well, okay, so that's assuming that Carl Panzram's stories are true. So let's start with that angle, that they are true, that everything he said, he did. Now, if that is true, did life make him that way, or was he born that way? I mean, with most serial killers, it's a combination, right? So they're born psychopathic, but instead of that psychopathy being reined in and pushed in a different direction, sort of a la Dexter, right? Yeah. They're pushed in the wrong direction where they're abused and they see abuse and then they can justify their acts on other people. And so, I mean, a combination. My guess is that he was born maybe on the psychopathy spectrum, maybe not total psychopath, but in that spectrum. And then he was molded and abused to be the way that he was. So to me, it's always a combination no matter what. And so that, that would be my guess if he really did all the things that he said he did. But that being said, his behaviors, a lot of them are not typical of serial killers. They are not typical.
You know what I get though, Dr. Cool? I see a softie. I see a guy just in his writings, right? Said that he was betrayed by the people that were supposed to love and nurture him.
Oh gosh, I mean, and he said too, like he had ideas about the criminal justice system. In one of his letters, he said, "Keep a separate record of each boy's conduct. Give him credits for his truthfulness, and punish him for lying. Let those records be the real standard to judge the boy by his fitness, instead of judging him because he learns or doesn't learn Bible passages." Like he had it. He's so introspective. This is very, 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 I can't even tell you how rare and weird it is. Like, it just doesn't exist. When you look at the serial killer lexicon of what is out there, lots of them have published their own memoirs, including H.H. Holmes, right? Was he introspective? No, not at all. There's nothing introspective about them. Bundy, not introspective at all. He pretends to be like, this is why I think I became this way. And it's just bloviating. He's just talking about his mom. And that's not what Panzram does. Panzram goes into detail about what he really truly believes made him the way he is. And he says that he thinks that all men should judge themselves that way. Like, these are the thoughts of an introspective man, somebody that is not patently psychopathic. That's what I can't get past. We have so many of his words that don't match the profile. They just don't.
Do you see somebody like, living the life he did, having really no hope? That was the biggest thing that really glares out at me, was the lack of any hope in his life. There was really none. Born under hard circumstances, lived under hard circumstances, was judged under extremely hard circumstances. The man had nothing to look forward to in life. I mean, aside from, let's take away the crimes he allegedly, and we do have to say a lot of these were alleged, because there's no evidence to support a lot of these. So
there's only 4 that are linked
that
to
away.
him.
Let's take that out of there for a minute. And we're looking at a person that was stripped of any hope and any guidance to live a really, real good, fruitful life. The guy was screwed from the moment he came out of the womb.
And he also, I didn't punch this up in my write-up, but he was an alcoholic, he had a really hard time with alcohol and controlling his alcohol consumption. And back then they didn't have a lot of programs for this sort of thing. And one of the things that I didn't include too, that just doesn't match up with anybody, is that at one point he was locked up for a brief stint of time, right? And I want to say it was a jail or just a kind of a halfway prison sort of thing. And the warden had really different ideas than other people back then. And the warden said, why don't we reward guys for good behavior with giving them day passes, like to leave? No, I swear to God. And guess who did really, really well on that program and didn't commit any other crimes?
Yeah,
and
Panzram.
Always came back on time. Yeah. Panzram. The only reason he couldn't complete that program was because he got messed up on alcohol one time, and then he wasn't qualified to do the program anymore. But by all accounts, and he himself says, no, I didn't do anything bad during that time, because for once somebody looked at him and said, I'm going to trust you. You're going to do good. And he did. I mean, what serial killer do you know would do that? Come on.
No, none of them. None that we've covered.
Certainly not a psychopathic one.
No.
Because they wouldn't care that someone was nice to him.
No, they wouldn't. And Carl Panzram very much did. That's why I feel like if he is a psychopath, he's somewhere on that spectrum where he doesn't really meet criteria. Like, to me, he's more antisocial. Somebody whose emotions, because antisocials have a lot of emotions, right? Like revenge and anger and sadness. I think Panzram had a ton of emotions, and he was suicidal. Like, there were groups that didn't want him put to death because they didn't believe in the death penalty, even back then, right? That were protesting.
Yeah.
He had appeals because he was on death row. He had court granted appeals. He didn't want any of his appeals. He didn't want anybody to protest because he said, I'm tired of life. My life has been nothing but pain, and I want it to stop. But he wasn't brave enough to take his own life. I can't tell you how many guys I've spoken to on death row, myself, that are not psychopaths that have said the same thing.
Wow.
Is it brave, though?
Yeah.
Is it brave to take your own life? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? You hear such a wide spectrum. Oh, he was, brave enough to do that, or he wasn't brave enough to do that. Is that a matter of courage? I guess it can be.
It's very much circumstantial. I don't have any hard and fast rules when it comes to suicide. I never have, because I don't believe, like Western culture believes, that it is always. We always say we very much stigmatize it here. It's wrong. Yeah. It's always wrong. I don't believe that. I never have. There's lots of cultures that don't believe that. But I do believe that most of the time when people feel suicidal, the vast majority of the time, they are in the throes of an acute mental illness, like depression. And then it is not right. Well, that is not a good time to do something like that. But people that sit on death row, they're not depressed. They have a long time to think about it, and they're not in the throes of depression anymore. A lot of them are older. They're getting sick. Their bodies are falling apart. They're in pain all the time. They're never going to get out. They have nothing to look forward to. Suicide is an option. for them.
Yeah.
And nobody's waiting for them. People will not be hurt. They don't have connections to other people that would be hurt by it. In that case, is it wrong? I don't know.
Well, okay, imagine we had a time machine, Dr. Cole. The same time machine we've used lots of times on the show. Let's just say we could take you back and you could sit across a table from Panzram. What would you be asking him? How would you do your workup on him?
You can watch Man City versus Liverpool on Now TV for just €10. So what's stopping you? Going shopping again? You're already on first-name basis with the sales assistant. A family party? Your Aunt Mary has seen you 4 times this week already. This is a cracking fixture. Don't let anything get in your way. To treat yourself to a Now TV Sky Sports Day Pass and watch the games that matter to you for just €10, search Now TV Football today. Content streamed by internet, full terms at nowtv.com. You can watch Man City versus Liverpool on Now TV for just €10. So what's stopping you? Going shopping again? You're already on first-name basis with the sales assistant. A family party? Your Aunt Mary has seen you 4 times this week already. This is a cracking fixture. Don't let anything get in your way. To treat yourself to a Now TV Sky Sports Day Pass and watch the games that matter to you for just €10, search Now TV Football today. Content streamed by internet, full terms at nowtv.com.
Well, it would appear that maybe we do have a connect. Are you there, Eric? We lost internet. Hold on 1 second, folks. It would seem that our connection has dropped, and we will be right back right after this word from the sponsors. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh.
Welcome back. I'm sorry about that. We had a tech issue right here in the studio. Everything went crazy. It was nuts. Lost internet. I'm sure people heard me going, hey, we just lost internet in the microphone because partially. Anyhow, what I was saying to Dr. Cole is if we had the time machine that we've utilized before on this show many, many times, and you had the opportunity to sit across a desk from Carl Panzram, what would you ask him?
Oh, my God. There are so many things. I think I actually said this to Henry the other day. I think we would have gotten along famously. I really do. He didn't get along well with Carl Menninger, one of the premier psychologists at the time that tried to interview him, because Menninger went in there with a very sympathetic attitude. And that's the wrong way to go with Panzram, for sure. He liked tough people, hard people. people that were no nonsense, and he didn't want mercy. And this is what he was always afraid, that if he spoke to doctors, that they would take mercy on him and see him as ill, as psychiatrically ill, like being suicidal.
Was he worried about the stigma? Was that what you're saying?
No. He was worried about getting a lesser sentence. He was worried about his sentence being commuted if he spoke to a doctor, which did happen back then. So that kind of led Eric and I into a discussion while we had the tech issues there about the idea of suicide being okay or being not stigmatized, because that's what Panzram was worried about. If I talk to a doctor, he's going to find out I'm suicidal and he's going to try to commute my sentence. But in countries where suicide has been made legal, where there is a process, the rate of suicide has actually gone down. The rate of other people committing suicide just in general has gone down. And that actually makes a ton of sense.
Question, though. A lot of people right now, the listener, are going to say, well, how is it illegal? What do you do to penalize the person that killed themselves? Can't put them in jail.
It's technically a criminal offense, actually.
Well, people are charged with attempted suicide sometimes.
They are. Yeah, it's very odd. It technically has been a crime in many states. In some states, it still is. And I guess I'm more talking about the stigma of it. The fact that we don't have in the United States, that we do not have a process for assisted suicide. That to me is criminal in and of itself, because since people have nowhere to turn and it is so stigmatized, the suicide rates go up. I know it's counterintuitive because Eric, can you kind of repeat the concern that you had?
Yeah, of course. So my worries, which I imagine are fairly typical, I know I got it from my parents because they used to talk about it, is that once you reduce that barrier, then is it a slippery slope? And of course, that's the argument here in this country for the most part, that you want that stigma because in theory that stigma is preventing someone somewhere from performing that act. So it's very interesting to hear that in some ways anyway, the opposite is true. So fascinating. Yeah, I mean, that's my personal issue with a lot of things, that I don't really want to fully give my quote unquote approval to. It's not that I want people to be penalized, but I don't necessarily want to give full on societal approval to something like suicide.
I got the other side of the coin for you though, Eric. Okay?
Yes,
I watched my father die of cancer. 2 years he fought, right? In 2 years, I watched him go from about 240 pounds down to 80 pounds, right? I mean, the guy died with no dignity.
Right.
Had he had that opportunity, I'm not saying he would have taken it, but had it been on the table that maybe you can go out with a shred of dignity, I gotta say, I'm hard pressed not to, in certain situations, have assisted suicide become legal. I mean, if you know that you're dying and all they're doing at that point is milking you for money, the medical system, why not have that opportunity at least be on the table?
And that's more sort of like the euthanasia perspective when someone's already dying. I think that the people that worry the most sort of about that slippery slope ideal are people that are like, what if they're a young person that isn't dying, that is just chronically depressed and suicidal. And I think that other countries have dealt with this in ways that are, oh God, and this is what people don't understand at a fundamental level when it comes to depression and suicidality, is that the stigma actually doesn't stop most people. That's actually one of the last things they think about. They
want out of pain.
They want out of pain. They want out of their circumstances. And it's that stigma that drives those feelings underground. It's what drives them not to talk to their loved ones, not to bring it up, to go further into depression, to not reach out for help. And in countries where they have assisted suicide, the suicide rate has gone dramatically down because now it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. And there's a process. I mean, this is going to sound weird to people, but it's a whole program. It's crazy. So if you say, I want to commit suicide, someone comes out, a doctor comes out and says, okay, let's talk about it. And there's literally, they have a suicide plan where they come out and they go, all right, well, just so you know, it's not immediate. And because what they know, right, that maybe the depressed person doesn't, is that most suicidality waxes and wanes, and most people are not going to be suicidal in 2 months.
Oh, because
right?
there is a huge difference between someone's terminally cancer and terminal cancer,
and just mental illness.
And
but
mental illness. Yeah.
But what they do is they put the person on a 6-month plan, at least 6 months, right? Where they say, we're not going to assist you right away. You have to come to therapy every week, and we're going to assist to see if you are mentally healthy enough for us to assist you. And so that person now has therapy. They have people to talk about. They have a plan that if it doesn't work out at the end of 6 months and a doctor signs off on it, their whole family can be present. There's a plan where they talk about it, where they make their wills together. They talk to their family. And actually what they found out was once they instituted this legalized suicide, the majority of the people that reached out for the service did not go through with it.
You know, that is actually, that is so smart because it takes the elephant out of the room. And
exactly.
now
they
you're
were
able to talk about it.
To their family. Exactly. So the doctor, the suicide planner, right, brings the family in and says they want to commit suicide. The stigma has to be out of it now. You just have to talk about it pragmatically. And that person they opened up a dialogue that wasn't available to them, and it's like that changed everything. It changed the landscape of how people think about depression. And it also stopped a lot of really acutely suicidal people that would have just done it.
Yeah.
They reached out, and when the doctor came over, they said, oh, I totally get it, but it's a 6-month plan. Do you think you could wait? And they did.
See, now,
they did. That saved their lives.
See, I had suicide has touched my family. I had a close family member that killed themselves.
Yeah, me too.
And had that been available, had that way of thinking been in place, it would have removed the stigma, and it would have created a dialogue to get the help that person needed, and things like that. So I mean, that is incredibly smart. Why we're not implementing that here, I don't know, but that is really smart.
There's the religion.
Where is that in place? Where is that?
Gosh, I know there's some Scandinavian countries. Let me go and research. I actually watched, they recorded one. I actually did watch one. It was heartbreaking, very, very difficult. But it was a woman who was chronically depressed, where drugs didn't help her. She'd been on everything. She wasn't ill. She didn't have cancer. She wasn't sick.
Yeah.
She just couldn't live anymore, and her son and daughter were there. The doctor was there.
It was actually kind of, I shouldn't say funny, but it was odd sitting in that cancer ward with my father, and of course you see other patients and you start talking, and they're all terminal. They all know they're terminal, but they're going through the motions. And you know what they all kind of told me when I talked to them? It really sucks that the financial vampires are here just to keep us alive, to get a few $1,000s more out of us.
Oh, okay. That's where it was. It was the Netherlands, the one where I watched it. It was like the BBC televised it. Switzerland, Germany, the Netherlands, and U.S. states of Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Hawaii, Vermont, Montana, Washington, D.C., and California all have assisted suicide. And euthanasia is legal in the Netherlands, Belgium, Colombia, Luxembourg, and Canada.
Wow.
So
wow.
And they're thinking about it in Australia. I hope that they consider assisted suicide in the other states. I would love for it to be a national thing, because I cannot stress it enough. Less people commit suicide when this is an option. And it is very tightly regulated. Mm-hmm. You cannot do it just, you know what I mean? Like a doctor can't show up and you do it the next week or something. Mm-hmm. That you have to go through all these evaluations, a bunch of therapy. It gets people resources that a lot of them wouldn't go to otherwise.
But Carl here, our topic
Carl,
tonight.
Panzram, yeah.
Now, what do you get out of him, though? What is, I mean, we kind of got off a tangent on this assisted suicide thing, but what do you get out of him? What's your takeaway as a doctor?
Man, I don't even know if he is a serial killer. If he is, it's possible. I think that he is incredibly introspective. I would love to have talked to him because of that. Do I still think that he externalizes blame like any good antisocial or psychopath? Sure. He's blaming everybody else. And if he did do these horrible things, hey, man, you're still responsible. Yeah. But he doesn't have a lot of the emotional, like the actions, like him killing the supervisor with 2 blows to the head from behind is weird. It's just odd. There are things that don't match up.
That does not speak to an experienced killer.
No, and it speaks to somebody that doesn't want the victim to see him kill him. And the metal bar was always there holding the door. Panzram could have done it when he was working in a solitary environment if he just wanted to kill the guy, but he waited until other inmates were there, I think, so that there would be witnesses. Like, here, stop me. Like, there's just too many weirdnesses with him. Because I don't understand it.
If we've learned anything on this show about serial killers, to them, killing is a very intimate affair.
Yes, and he describes other supposed killings where was looking at the carnage directly. Well, why not do it then? He seems very assaultive. He assaulted other prison guards, other prisoners over time. That's very typical of an antisocial, right? Just being kind of off the cuff assaultive. He was kind of mean, just as a human being. He was kind of a mean
jerk.
Guy.
He was an ass.
He was a jerk. He was a jerk. But do I see, I was saying before, okay, the Taft burglary, right? He broke into one of Taft's houses and stole, now it would be tens of thousands worth, right, of jewelry and a weapon. But given that he could get that close to Taft with a house that was already guarded and had no problem doing it, I think that he could have gotten to Taft, the human being, or at least relatives of Taft, if he really had this personal grudge. Why did he just steal? And my guess is that Panzram was greedy for getting ahead monetarily, but he doesn't seem to be really bloodthirsty. He didn't participate in the killing of Harry Minto, the warden, either. He seems surprised by it and upset by it. It just doesn't. His actions don't make sense. So I guess one of the things, if I could go back in a time machine and talk to him, I'd want to suss out what happened and what didn't. And my guess is that a lot of it didn't. He's the one serial killer I've ever heard of where it's based on his recollections. What? Who does that? I mean, how can this guy be listed as a serial killer when it's all on his word?
Well, and why did they take him at his word back then?
I don't know. I mean, there's only 4 killings that are absolutely, that they say are concretely linked. Not like they found him in the act. They weren't linked like that. They were linked after the fact. And again, and I checked, these were cases that were highly publicized at the time. So unless there's other stuff, and there very well could be, that I don't know about Panzram, show me the money, man. I'm not buying it.
Yeah. So you think he's a paper killer?
Kind of. I think he's a paper serial killer. He is a killer, right? And he's probably a rapist as well. But serial killer? I don't know. I don't know if he is.
Interesting.
And it makes me sad that I didn't get to talk to him because he honestly, he doesn't spell for crap, but he does have some eloquence. If you have a chance, you can go to the University of San Diego website, and they have some of Carl Panzram's handwritten letters available for you to view, if you're curious.
So he was not William Shakespeare by any means, but at least he got his point across.
Actually, he was fairly eloquent with words. He just couldn't spell them.
Oh, well,
but he spoke
spell
quite
check
well.
wasn't around yet, so, That is a strange. That's strange. You're right, because when you read it and you look at it for what it is, I see a little boy that needs a hug.
I kind of do too. It's weird, and I'm sure everybody's like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you?" And people have already said that to me about the post. So if you're lining up, go ahead. People have already said, "Why are you saying that we need criminal justice reform? This guy was a rapist and a murderer." And I totally get it. Don't get me wrong, but that type of system doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody.
It didn't work then. Didn't work then, and it's not going to work now.
It doesn't work now. It doesn't work now. Like the more we crack down, the more puritanical we are about our punishments, about suicide, about all of it, the worse off we are. And there's so many studies now that show that's why all these other countries have changed their tune. What's wrong with us? We need to catch up to the research.
Well, I think you were right. You mentioned, I don't know if we were on the air or if it was during the glitch
outage,
period, but ultimately the barrier on a lot of this stuff is religion. You are right.
Yeah, I suppose, huh? Like people just that like they can't wrap their minds around the fact, like, because that's the thing is, like, if someone's suicidal and they're intent on doing it and they get somebody else involved for the assisted suicide, how is it more wrong if they do assisted suicide than if they just did it on their own? How is it more wrong?
Suicide.
Wrong,
well, I don't
right?
think it's more wrong, but it's ultimately we're talking about the danger. Yes, it's danger to your soul. That's what we're talking about. And your soul is so much more important than your life. I'm talking about from a religious perspective.
Exactly. It's a mortal sin. You will go to hell. You will be cast in a lake of fire if you take your life in your own hand. And that's the Christian mentality on it. And this is a Christian country. So that is, by and large.
But having talked to scores of people that have been suicidal in my career, I can think of like maybe 2 that didn't do it because of religion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's not a reason for anyone.
But we've already come to the end of another show. Dr. Cole, thank you so much for writing what you write on your website, thecriminalcode.com. You want to read this article for yourself in depth, read the doctor's notes. Check out thecriminalcode.com. Make sure you check out America's-most-haunted.com, the home of Amazemo. And until tomorrow night, take care of each other, love each other, and again, check out the Criminal Code. Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM, and please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.